Well, I started off being really interested in animal behaviour, and I went out to Borneo to study one of the best known edge species, the Bornean orangutan. And while I was out there, I realised that if we're not careful, then very soon there's not going to be any orangutans left. So that's what really drove my interest in conservation. And when I got back to the UK, I really wanted to not only raise awareness of these large, charismatic, well-known species, but also more particularly the more poorly known species that people haven't heard about. EDGE stands for evolutionarily distinct and globally endangered, and the globally endangered part is quite straightforward. The more threatened a species is, the higher the globally endangered score. The evolutionarily distinct part is a little bit harder for people to get their heads around, but what it means is how unique or how distinct a species is. EDGE species are also, they're really amazing creatures. They tend to be really unique in the way they look, in the way they live, the way they behave. They're wonderful animals. They embody all sorts of unique genetic information that aren't in other animals. Some EDGE species are being protected. So, for example, the African rhinos and the giant panda, they're receiving lots of conservation attention, which is fantastic. But there's a whole bunch of other species that are just so poorly known. They're completely not on anyone's radar. So, purple frog, for example, or the Hainan gymnure. No one's even heard of them, and if people haven't heard of these species, they don't know they exist, then it's very difficult to go out and start conserving them. So one of the things we want to do through EDGE is to start raising awareness of these really poorly known EDGE species, and then we can go on to find out more about them, what the threats are, and what we need to do to make sure that they're conserved. There's a hypothesis called the rivet popper hypothesis, which says that if you take an aeroplane and look at the rivets in its wing, you can remove a few rivets and the plane will still fly. But as you remove more and more rivets, then eventually you'll reach a point where the plane will crash. And I think that's a really good analogy for conserving biodiversity. The more species that you lose, the more likely it is that the world is going to crash, if you like. Shortly after we launched in 2007, we found that the Yangtze River dolphin, which was our #1 EDGE mammal species, was declared extinct. And this was the first time that a large vertebrate had gone extinct in the last 50 years. And it was 20 million years of unique evolutionary history disappeared forever from the planet. And having that happen so soon after we launched EDGE, saying this is the most important mammal to conserve from our point of view, it was really, really heartbreaking, and I really don't want to go through that again with any more EDGE species. We're definitely running out of time, but it's not too late to do something. You can support EDGE by making an online donation at www.edgeofexistence.org, or you can get in contact with one of the EDGE team and talk about how best to support the programme.